Just wrap it up just like you'd wrap up your grandma's pumpkin pie after Thanksgiving. Caution, I'm a hack. I learned everything I know from a guy leaned against a shade tree, having a drink and smoking a cigarette. Hey, welcome back. So I've got 29 days before I leave on my trip. So what are we going to do after pulling the engine and the transmission last video? We're going to prep the engine bay. This engine bay is disgusting and beat. As you can see, it's missing plenty of paint, and it's just dirty. It's really dirty. So the engine I bought last week is here. We'll look at it here in just a minute. But disclaimer, all the parts aren't here yet. They should be here soon. So I have a couple of days to try to make this look better, and that's what we're going to do first. We'll look at the engine, don't worry. But yeah, this focus of this video is to make this engine bay look presentable for a good looking setup, and that's what we're going to do. Since we have a couple of days before the parts are in, seemed like the right decision. Let's go look at that engine. Well, we had a little accident, but we're going to get it unloaded and I'll throw it on a stand and we'll take a look at her. All right, well, here we have it. It's a 2005 6-liter 6.0 from a 2005 Escalade. They made two versions of this engine of all the 6.0s. There's a LQ4 and an LQ9. The LQ4 doesn't make nearly as much power because of the piston design, as best I understand. The heads on this thing aren't particularly great. They are 317s. They're bad heads. They're just not high compression heads. But they should do everything we need them to do for now. Motor looks pretty darn clean. It doesn't look like it was pressure washed. It just looks like it was a clean engine. They had pictures online of the vehicle this came out of. The vehicle just been side swapped. So I've already pulled the plug. And let's scope it and see what kind of piston we got. Flat top piston will indicate a LQ9. LQ4 has like two dishes in it for valve clean. I don't know, for whatever reason, to lower the compression probably. But anyways, let's see if we can get this girl checked out a little bit. And that's probably all we're going to do with the engine today. But I just wanted to show it to y'all. It is here, but I don't want to tear it down until I have all the parts to put it back together with. And the way I see it, we have, we got a few days before it's just like, we got to do it and get it in the car. So I don't want to rush it and have to do it twice if I can help it. But anyways, let's see what the scope tells us about the piston. We'll go from there. Also, look how clean this spark plug is. I'm trying to get it to focus. Yeah, it's like really good for a junkyard motor. Yeah, pretty happy with this so far. I got the old Milwaukee scope out. We're going to take a look. I'm going to see if I can do this and hold the camera at the same time. Oh, yeah. Y'all see that? There's a flat top piston. So we got us an LQ9. I am happy to have the LQ9. So first thing we're going to do on this car is get the emergency brake working again. I put a 4th gen rear end in it last year, so I'd have rear disc brakes and a posi unit. It's just quick and easy, and that's what I did. And one of the downsides of putting a 4th gen rear end in a 3rd gen car is the emergency brake doesn't work anymore. You can't use those cables. So Hawks Performance sells a cable. It's like a hybrid cable. So I ordered a set of those. So we'll get those stuck in here. Then we can strip this engine bay down. Maybe we get this thing pushed outside and pressure wash. The weather is not good today, so we'll see. We'll see if we pressure wash it today or tomorrow. Either way, it doesn't matter. We'll get it done. All right, see, there's a little loop on either side of the rear end that just bolts to the cover. And it's for the cables to slide through. So let's start with sliding this one through. There is a front and a back. The front just has a round piece on it. The back has a piece that's got a hole in it. And then I come over here. So we'll come over here to the brakes. It's got this little end on it. It's got a hole in it. It's a pretty simple setup. It just slides right through the hole. And it hooks right here on the caliper. Just like that. And pull this down. There's a little E-clip on it. Just get a screwdriver and it'll pop right off. Just like that. And, well, gonna do that without it falling off the lever. There we go. Push this through the hole. There's 3 rings on that. I don't know if there was different brackets or whatever. Just figure out what one it goes in. Put it on there. Snap it in place with a screwdriver. Just like that. And then that's secured. Slide it through the bracket like this. Doesn't seem to be long enough, Hawks. It seems to be, I measured these and they didn't seem to be a long side and a short side, so I wonder why. May not be able to run them through those retainers. Let's see if the other side will reach. Absolutely not. Now it runs through here. That's the original mount that the 3rd gen would have used for the emergency brake cable, and then down. That's it. It did come off the caliper. I'm gonna go ahead and hook that back up before we hook the other end. And then we'll see if we can reroute the other side. I've got it all fed through the little retainers. You know, make sure they go through both of those. That way this thing's not hanging down into the drive shaft. I adjusted it back so we got a little bit of slack on both sides. You don't want any pre-tension on the brakes. That goes back over the rear end and down. And this side goes through here, through its retainer. Actually under the rear end, but over the sway bar and then over to the brake. So I'm really happy with this. That was, I don't even remember how much it cost, but it's definitely a necessity in a car that's standard. So the next thing we're going to tackle are the motor mounts. Yeah, they both shot. So yeah, I'm going to try to get these unbolted. I'm not sure if I have to, I don't know if they have nuts on the back or not. I don't know if GM ever threaded the frames, but whatever it is, we'll figure it out, get them both out. I figured we'd do that before we pressure wash it. As you can see, definitely got bolts or nuts on the back side of those bolts. So, as I'm sure most of y'all know, that's a terrible spot to get into. So I got myself a crow's foot on a extension. I'm gonna try to stick that up in there and get these things out right quick, and we'll see how it goes. Hey Jim, an access hole wouldn't have killed you, would it? Actually, there's a hole right there. I wonder if I get through it. I can't even see the bolt anymore, or the nut. Oh, I can see it, kind of see it. Thanks for the access hole, GM. I'll get on there. Well, both sides are out now. Time to move on to something else. I think I'm going to try to strip all this out right here right quick. And I'll put y'all on a stand for that. All right, well, here we are. Got most of this cleaned up. I'm pretty happy with where we're at right there. Need to take the windshield wiper motor off, and we'll take the AC box out and the wiring for that. Also, I need to take the, this is my overflow container for a 4th gen Camaro. But when I cut this open last year, there was quite a bit of rust in there, so we're gonna have to do some modifications. Also, this thing never set level, and that bothered me. So now's the time to fix all this. So yeah, I'm gonna put you back on the time lapse, and we'll see how much of this we can get stripped down. Maybe we can get it outside and pressure washed today. Well, this is plenty good enough to pressure wash. I'm going to run out and get us some degreaser, spray on all this, and we'll get it pushed outside, pressure wash it. Might even go ahead and scuff it up tonight if I have time. I think I might. And, you know, maybe tomorrow we'll shoot this thing and paint and call it good. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Just be done with it. Well, we've got it rolled outside. I got some gunk, and it's starting to rain, by the way. So I taped off the openings with some Gorilla Tape. I'm going to gunk this thing down really, really good and let it sit. Then we'll hit it with a pressure washer. Sun started shining again, and it looks better in here, but set it with a pressure washer and then take a look at it and assess the situation. Look at that. It's so much better. Yeah, we can do something with this. We can sand this down and shoot it, and it's going to look nice. I think I may let it dry a little bit and go ahead and cut the rest of this out. And I've got a piece of metal to go in there. But my welder won't reach out here, but my grinder will. So, yeah, there we are. We're making progress. All right.
So I've made us a template. I am going to add an inch that way, but I'll write that on there. All right, let's transfer what we got to a piece of steel here. This isn't just real thin sheet metal. It has to be a little thicker because it is a battery box. I think it is 16 gauge. Well, I've got all this fitted up. I've got there's a pin that locates this. I drilled a hole for it. Everything looks pretty good. I can totally live with it. So I'm going to mark it just a little bit. I got a hole drill here and the one here, and we'll figure out how to mount this thing and be done with it. So this thing has two places. That is the actual battery hold down, and that'll be welded to the plate we're putting in. But this one is a location hole. I don't really know what to call it, but I wanted to put it in there. I thought it'd be good for it. So I've drilled us a hole and prepped that. And I have a nut around here somewhere. There it is. And I'm going to put it in there, and we're going to weld it in. So we have a threaded nut that's just welded to the body. Actually, it's to the frame. So we'll do that, and then we'll see if we can't weld a nut on the back side of the plate for the hold down, and then get the plate all welded in, and then a little bit of primer. This thing will be ready for paint too. Got it welded in, ground down. Here's your hack tip of the day. Make sure you put a bolt in your nut before you weld it in. Otherwise, the threads will get all marred up and you'll be out of luck. So that looks good. I'm going to put the plate back in here. Put that plastic part back in here. Put a bolt in this to make sure we got the right location to drill for the hold down before we do it. All right, I've got it in here. You can see how all this lines up, so we're good with that. So I'm going to find me a nut that fits that bolt for the hold down and just go ahead and weld it to the back of this plate. And then I think we're ready to maybe weld it in. I hope so. All right, I got her all sitting down in there. That bolt hole lines up, but the bolt that I actually had for it wasn't quite long enough. And I don't have one that's the right length, so I'll have to get a bolt for that. I ain't worried about it. But everything lines up, looks good. I'm going to go ahead and start welding her in. And yeah, this will be just about taken care of.
Let's go!
Well, I got it all welded in there. My flux core welder did a decent job for what it is. I ain't complaining, but I'm sure you saw I had a little fire going. We got that put out. No big deal. It's just the wheel liner, the edge of it caught on fire. It's fine. Worst part's I now have a little bit of plastic residue on my gloves, but we'll survive. I'm going to hit this with a flap disc and clean it up a little bit. I'm not going crazy, and maybe a little seam sealer, and maybe not. I don't even think I'm going to do that. None of the rest of these seams are sealed, so I'm just going to hit it with a grinder a little bit and hit it with some primer. We'll be done with that. First, we'll hit a little self-etching primer. Well, it's the next day. After I shot that primer yesterday, I called it a day. It was Mother's Day, so I had some stuff I had to take care of, and we did that and had a great time. So I'm back on it this morning. I'm going to push this thing outside and hit it with some primer again. And then we'll wet sand it and see if we can't get this thing taped off and painted. I can't wait. I love the look of fresh, shiny paint. While I was out, I went ahead and picked up some Nason primer in a can. This stuff won't lift, so I'm gonna hit that right quick. Next, we're gonna remove the intermediate shaft, and then I'm gonna pull the steering column and that brake booster off. Well, that's everything I want to take out of here. Now we have good access all the way around the engine bay. The throttle cable needed to come out because it's not long enough, so we have to get another one. I've got some 600 wet dry sandpaper here. I'm going to scuff all this up right quick. And yeah, let's see if we can't get it scuffed down, washed up, and ready to spray in the next hour. Well, I got it all sanded out. I even sanded inside the trans tunnel a little bit. That way the paint will adhere in there. I'm going to wash this down right quick with some soap and water, rinse it off. We'll let it dry, tape off what's got to be taped off. And yeah, hopefully real soon this thing will be in color again. I wash my stuff down with Dawn dishwashing liquid. And I try to use a clean rag of some sort that's never been in contact with grease. This is just an old t-shirt. Okay, so it's time to go ahead and tape everything off that we're going to tape off. Get this thing ready to spray. So here's one of the tricks. Get you some aluminum foil. Way easier than taping up wires. Looks like a spaceship in here. Just wrap it up just like you'd wrap up your grandma's pumpkin pie after Thanksgiving. And there's what you got. I'm going to go ahead and put up my canopy because it's really, really warm out here right now. I want to see if I can get the temp of the metal to go down before we start spraying. So I'll put that up and we'll get back to this. Well, I've got it all taped up. I cut y'all short on that. It takes forever to tape up an engine bay. I already knew that. I've wiped it down with wax and grease remover already. It's really ready to spray. I've not sprayed anything in a long time, and I've never sprayed anything here. And let me show you what I've got to use. I have a rigid gas-powered air compressor. That's what I got. It's what we got to use. So some of the OGs to the channel will remember this thing, but we'll fire it up, cut the pressure down. Yeah. We're going to do 2 coats, 1 coat kind of thin, 1 a little heavier, and we're going to call this engine bay done. It's supposed to be really nice tonight, so we'll just leave it out here to flash off and we'll roll her back in tomorrow. So yeah, let me get all the gun and all that stuff ready and we'll get to spraying. Put this Harbor Freight gun to the test. Pull the canopy back so we can see it with a little light on it. Yeah, buddy. Not bad for a Harbor Freight paint gun, gas-powered air compressor in my driveway. I can live with it. Well, there you have it. I think it turned out really good for what I'm working with. We're finally to the point now that we're not tearing it apart anymore, so it's time to really start putting it back together. The engine's here. Maybe we'll go through it on the next episode. I still want to do a little touch-up in there with some just some spray paint on that cross member, but that ain't no big deal. And we'll start putting this thing together and see if we can't get us a running driving car soon. Thanks for watching.